Hi everyone, this is Duke with a quick video on binding your FlySky receiver to your transmitter, as well as setting the output mode to SBUS on your FlySky receiver so that you can use your FlySky receiver in conjunction with your Aura Light. If you jump to this video from the other video, we were talking about the Aura Light in that video. There we go. And in the class, we're using the SBUS output from our receivers to talk to this flight control board. Okay, so this is how you do it with FlySky. There's a different video for how you do it with ExpressLRS. Once you have the output in SBUS, you then jump back to the video on setting up your Aura Light, and it should work as expected. Okay, so here I just have my transmitter and my receiver. Okay, I have an ESC here just to power my receiver. So you can use the ESC from your Outlaw or the ESC from your FT Explorer or whatever other ESC you might have that you can plug some source of power into and then plug into your receiver to power it. Okay, and then I'll have a couple other things I'll show you here on the dot cam that I'm going to use to help with this demonstration. Okay, whether you have the larger or smaller receiver in the FlySky series, I guess you could say, both of these ones will work fine for getting SBUS out of. There are some other receivers that FlySky makes that have SBUS output, but I'm not going to cover those in this video. Most of you will have one of these if you got the kind of bundle here where it typically comes with the transmitter and one receiver all together from Amazon or something. Okay, but either receiver you have doesn't matter. Will be the same process. I'll kind of show you the differences there, though there's not really many differences between the two. Okay, I have a battery here in order to power my ESC, so that's what's up here. You can use your wall power adapter, of course, to power up your ESC as well. We don't use a lot of power to do this, so you don't need to have anything crazy. Along with your receiver in your FlySky bundle, you should have got a little wire that looks like this, a little plug on the end. Okay, this is your bind plug. They're pretty easy to make your own if you ever lost this one, but you might as well hold on to it. It's a good idea. And I'm going to show you how to bind your receiver to your FlySky transmitter just in case some of you have bought a second receiver for the second plane. So your first receiver came bound to the plane already. It was good to go. And you might have bought a second one, so I'm going to show you how to do that, at least with these type of receivers. Okay. It's pretty easy to bind a FlySky receiver. Okay. First, we want to make sure that we're in the model that we want to use. So the model on the FlySky receiver is right here, FlySky 01. So let's say my first plane I built was just in this model, FlySky 01. You can rename that. Let's say I want to pick another model because I'm going to have another plane with another receiver. That's what you should do if you're going to have multiple receivers. Otherwise, you have to go back and forth and bind one and then bind the other and bind one. There's no point in doing that. Just select a different model. So we'll hold the OK key. I'll go to System Setup, Model Select. Okay, so I'm going to go to Model 2 instead of Model 1. I'm going to long press Cancel to save. That's how you save stuff on the FlySky transmitters. Now if we go back out, we're in FlySky 02. Okay, if you want to change the name of these to make them easier to identify, you can go to Model Name. And it's kind of tedious to go through all these little letters and stuff, but you can at least get something different besides FlySky 01 and FlySky 02 for your models, and that'll make it easier to figure out which one you have set in your transmitter before you fly. So I'll call this one FlySky. How's that sound? Okay. So now we have our FlySky 02. Okay. That's the model I want to bind to this receiver, so I have it selected. That's perfect. I'm going to go ahead and turn the transmitter off. Okay. My zoom out a little bit here. My ESC is powered up, so all I need to do now is have my ESC plug here and my bind plug here. Okay. On both of these type of receivers, there is a spot on the receiver, okay, that says B/VCC. It's as far as I can zoom. Unfortunately, I can't get it any farther than that. But you see that B/VCC at the top of both receivers? That's bind/power. Okay, we're going to take our bind plug and just plug it into that slot, whichever receiver we're going to use. So we plug it in here for this one. Okay. Doesn't matter which way you plug it in with the bind plug. It doesn't matter if you have it upside down or not. Okay. And on this one, we're going to plug it in right here. I'm going to bind the smaller one right now, so I'll leave it plugged into here. We'll zoom back out. Okay. And now we'll take our power source from the ESC, which is getting powered, plug it into any of the ports on the receivers. Make sure you plug it in the right orientation. So we want to have our signal wire facing up. Okay. I'm going to plug it in here. I'm going to plug it in channel 3 since it's my throttle channel anyways. And we'll get a fast flashing LED there. Okay, so it's got that rapid blink. Wait for the camera to focus here. What happened? Come on, camera. That's weird. Let's try resetting. Huh, weird. I wonder why it's having problems. There we go. Okay. Usually it focuses much faster than that. Sorry about that. There's our fast blinking LED. Okay, it means it's in bind mode. I'm going to go back out a little bit, especially because the camera's having trouble here. All right, once it's in bind mode, all we have to do is this button here that says this bind key, this small black button at the bottom of the transmitter. We're going to hold that button down while we turn the transmitter on, and you probably won't see it. It's very quick, but it'll say binding, bind OK on the screen. So let's see if we can see that. Ready? There we go. RC binding, bind OK. You get that little doo-doo, and we have a solid light here, okay? And we also see TX and RX here in the upper right-hand corner. If my receiver is not plugged in, we'll lose that RX, okay? Disappeared there. We also lost some information down here. So let's plug it back in and see what that was again. Okay. There we go. So we have our signal strength here. I think this is supposed to be the voltage it's reading from the receiver, which should be about 5 volts. That makes sense. And then we have our transmitter voltage, which is just the voltage of the batteries inside the transmitter. Okay, but you'll see once I unplug this, I'll lose the receiver voltage and the signal, and then that little battery icon there will also disappear. Okay, and there we go. Okay, but that solid LED lets us know that the receiver is bound, okay, and communicating with the transmitter. So if I were to plug in a servo right now to the receiver, I can move it around with the control sticks. All right, and the process is exactly the same for the bigger receiver. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is going to show you the second part of this video, kind of how to set up the receiver to output SBUS. Okay. And to do that, we're going to have the receiver connected, powered up, everything's linked up here. We're going to long press OK. We're going to go into the system setup menu. So I'm going to press OK again. I'm going to scroll down here to where it says RX setup. Oops, one too far. I'm going to press RX setup, press OK. And we'll go down all the way past the bottom of this page to where it says output mode. We're going to press OK. All right, so here we have two little boxes. The receivers themselves have, these ones anyways, have a set of pins that are oriented vertically, like the ones I have plugged into right now, and they have a set of pins up on the top that are oriented horizontally. Okay, these receivers can output normal PWM, they can output PPM, they can output iBus, and they can output SBUS. So there's all the different type of protocols. Okay, what we've been using in the class up to this point has been PWM, for just plugging a servo or an ESC directly into the receiver. What we'll do now is we're going to change our serial output to SBUS, which will allow this port up here, this upper right-hand horizontal set of pins, to output SBUS signals on that pin. Okay, so to do this, we just need to make sure we select this box, and you can move this up or down for iBus or SBUS. We'll make sure it's on SBUS. And we'll go back over and make sure that's on PWM, and then we'll hold cancel to save. And we'll check it one more time, and it did save SBUS and PWM. That's what we use in class. PPM is a pretty old, outdated protocol. iBus is, fairly modern. I guess as modern as SBUS, more or less, but it's not understood by the OR light, so we have to use SBUS. Okay. Once that's set, you've pretty much done it. Now your receiver will output SBUS on the top right set of horizontal pins. Okay, so it'll be right up here. I'll plug it into this slot here. So right up here is where that plug would go, and I'll show you the signals in just a second, but that's where you'd plug in the wire between your receiver and your Aura light. Okay, so we'll back out of here, all the way back out to the main menu. Okay, and to help you guys see this on screen, I have a little device here that'll show us what signals are coming out of the receiver. Okay, so let's back out a little bit more actually. And I'll try to keep this in frame, and then I'll zoom in on the device. Okay, this is just a kind of battery checker combination, battery checker, signal reader, I guess you could say. I think it might be able to give signals to servos as well. I'm actually not sure on that. It's kind of a new tool for me, so I'm still learning how to use it. But one way we can use it, we'll power it up here with the balance port of the battery. that should, let's kind of put this over here. Change sides here. Okay. And then we'll grab a little jumper wire, which I just misplaced mine, of course. Here it is. Okay. Little jumper wire. So if you had your or light, if you had your Aura light, you would plug this little jumper wire that comes with your Aura light from your receiver to your Aura light. So I have my Aura light over here on my plane, so we can see that. So I would have the receiver plugged in to the Aura light with this little jumper wire. Okay. But to make the demonstration a little bit easier, I'm not going to use the Aura light and try to switch screens and show you the software. I'm just going to show you on this little display here. Okay. So what we would do is we'd take our receiver. Okay. Should get rid of that one for now. And we'll plug it in with that same port. Okay. If you notice on this, on that right hand side, we have those, top right, we have those 3 pins in a horizontal orientation. There's also a little tooth cut out on one side. That helps us know where the signal wire goes. Remember, the teeth go towards the top here, and it gives us little, well, this one actually doesn't have a label, but the bigger one has a label on it. Okay. S plus minus, so signal wire faces up on the vertical pins. Okay. And we can see it up on the vertical pins gives us those little teeth, little indentations there above the topmost pin. We also have a little tooth or mark on the right-hand side of this upper right-hand port. So our jumper wire is going to go in with a signal wire towards the upper right corner. Okay, like so. That's how we want to plug it in. Okay, we're going to take this little jumper wire here. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Okay, we'll plug it into these signal measuring device here. Okay, so we can measure it. That will actually power it up as well. So now it's bound. It's hooked up to the transmitter again. We can see all that data. Okay, the batteries over here. And if we select to read the signals here, SBUS. Okay, so we can see SBUS. Let me zoom in a little bit closer here. All right, so we see the signals for SBUS. And it did this earlier to me as well. Why is it not showing anymore? No, I'm sorry, guys. I tested this right before the video. That's weird. Let's reset everything. We have our multi-checker. Come on now. Okay, I'm going to pause the video. Give me just a second. Okay, sorry about that. I don't know what the problem was. This thing seems to have some kind of difficulty sometimes. Maybe when I have it powered off the balance leads instead of the main battery lead. I'm not sure why that happens. But I haven't changed anything on the receiver since I paused the video. I just got this little gizmo working. Okay, so we'll zoom in a little bit here, and we'll see it's measuring SBUS. We have our channels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And as I move the sticks on my transmitter, we see those values move around, which means we're outputting a valid SBUS signal from our receiver, which can go into here and be displayed or go into the Aura light and be used for configuration. So I'll try to zoom out a little bit here. See if you guys can see this a little bit, maybe. If you look at those yellow bars, as I move them around, you see those numbers changing. It's hard to see this at the same time, maybe like that. Numbers change there, channels 1 and 2. Here's my throttle. Channel 4 rudder. Okay, if I had other channels set up for my switches, I could flip those and move these other channel 5 and 6 around. Okay. So that's all there is to it. Once you have that set up on your receiver, you're good to use it with your Aura light and follow the rest of that Aura light configuration video. All right, thanks.